Contenders to contenders. Let's flash back to last season and check out who went from pretender to contender in 2024. Most notably, the Washington Commanders under first-year head coach Dan Quinn and quarterback, the rookie there, Jaden Daniels. So they joined Washington and they took them from a 4-13 team in 2023 to 12-5, and of course making it to the playoffs last season. So let's go ahead and jump now to this season. We're talking about 5 non-playoff teams from 2024 that will be contenders this season. Of course, we've got Kyle and we got Charles back with us. So Kyle, you've got the 49ers. They made a number of moves, making George Kittle the highest paid tight end in the league, Robert Saleh back to lead the defense, Deebo Samuel gone, and Kyle Juszczyk gone as well. Why are they contenders though?
Well, a huge thing was the Saleh move, obviously being able to obtain him from getting let go in New York. That was unfortunate for him. But for the 49ers, I think there were so many people out the door that a lot of the fans, a lot of people around the league panicked. And when I say out the door, they lost a lot of defensive talent. But you have to understand the nucleus of this team, including guys like George Kittle, including that brilliant head coach, Kyle Shanahan. They offer their experience, they offer their creativity, and I think that with the moves they made to bolster that defensive front and pay attention to the guys out the door, they brought the right ones in. And I think you have to be able to lean on experience. And you look around the league, a lot of these teams that are in the playoffs are the same ones that were there last year. San Francisco 49ers, they missed the opportunity this past season, but I think that they're going to be rolling right back into it. Obviously, they've drafted some guys on the offensive line over the course of the last 2 years, but that defensive side of the ball really got a shot in the arm throughout the course of the draft. You can see the list of the guys there. Michael Williams, we all watched him play a ton of football at Georgia. Alfred Collins, not the sexiest of guy, but a defensive tackle. And then obviously the rest of the guys on that list are filling out that defense. That was the question mark, and I think they've answered it well.
All right, we'll see. Charles, you've got the Bengals as a contender. They extended Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And now we got to see what happens with their defensive superstar and Trey Hendrickson. But why will they be in the postseason?
Well, first of all, Tiffany, I agree with Kyle about the San Francisco 49ers. I fully expect them to be solid contenders next year. But getting back to Cincinnati, look, general manager and quarterback Joe Burrow had a big offseason. Okay? Got Jamar Chase signed, right? Got T. Higgins brought back to the fold. That offense is going to look very similar to last year. And as we all know, at the end of the season, teams were praying the Bengals would get knocked out of playoff contention because they were going to be the team no one wanted to play. But that doesn't mean that everything on the defensive side has gotten better, and that's where everything has to happen for them. Lou Anarumo was let go. This was not all on Lou Anarumo. These players have to play better. They have to get better. And there are a number of guys on the squad already. Listen, you're bringing in Shamar Stewart on the edge. You drafted a linebacker in Demetrius Knight. You brought in a linebacker named Oren Burks, who played well in the playoffs for Philadelphia. But it's really guys returning. Joseph Asai on the edge, DJ Turner, Geno Stone, Cam Taylor, Britt, Dax Hall. All of them have to play better, including Chris Jenkins, McKinley Jackson on the inside. That's where it has to happen for Cincinnati. They just have to be average on defense, and this team's going to the playoffs.
That's a big pick there, Charles. All right. Well, Kyle, your Bears, and I say your Bears because we all know why. You have a new head coach in Ben Johnson, and they worked to get the offensive line together during this offseason. Why are we still going to be talking about this Bears team come January next year?
Well, Tiff, I think it's what you led with, Ben Johnson. It was a no-brainer for me. It was the first time that I've seen the Chicago Bears hit a grand slam when they were going through the hiring process. Ryan Poles was given the reins. He picked his guy, and they're moving forward. Obviously, the big talent, the superstar in Chicago is and will be the quarterback for the next decade or so with Caleb Williams. We saw flashes of brilliance from this young man, and we also saw plays where we were scratching a hole in our head because we were so frustrated with some of the things that we saw. A lot of it stemmed from the interior of that offensive line. You can see at the top of the list, Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson. The fans are going to love these players. A lot of positional versatility with Joe Thuney. Drew Dahlman was in Atlanta, and I feel like he could be featured as an athletic center in Chicago where Ben Johnson can get him on the edge and maybe seal some of these defenders and let some of the explosive athletes, well, do what they do. They explode. But that defensive side of the ball, they bolstered the pass rush. rush. That's one thing that people in Chicago have been begging for. Monsters of the Midway, Charles. They want to see the quarterback go down, and like Amy Trask says, they must go down hard. You get as many of these guys on the defensive side of the ball, and we roll. But it can't happen unless you got the middle three in that offensive line, and that's what Ben Johnson begged for, and he got it.
All right, you guys seem to be in lockstep for the most part on your picks, but let's take a closer look because you guys were on the same page with the 49ers, the Bears, the Bengals, but you've gone your separate ways on these next picks that we have listed here. So I can go ahead and just jump to the Falcons, being that I live in Atlanta. Charles, you know that. They made some move defensively in this draft, like everyone in Atlanta was really hoping that they would do, so people celebrating. You've got your QB in Michael Penix. Why are they going to be a contender this year?
Well, Kyle, I love that our lists are pretty much matching, and I had Arizona on mine too, but I could only have 5. Dallas I did not have, but we'll move on from there. Michael Penix will not get the full season, as you noted, Tiffany, and he played well for them coming in late in the season and justified why they took him number 8 overall. He should just keep getting better. I like their offensive line. I like the people they have on the perimeter, and the running back combo, starting with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, they are terrific. I really like them. We're back to defense again, and you're in a division where people don't run away with the division. Give respect to Tampa Bay. 4 straight years they've won it, but the last couple of years they've won the last 3 years they've won the division at 8-9, 9-8, 10-7. No one's running away with it. So if you get better yourself, you put yourself in a position to have a shot at the division. Jeff Ulbricht's a new defensive coordinator. How about the draft by Terry Fontenot? Went bold again this year. Jalen Walker trades back in the first round, gets James Pierce, 2 edge guys who will make a difference for them. And I love Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame. He can pair with Jesse Bates in the backfield, and you can have that shortstop, second base tandem in the back end who can make a lot of plays on the football. Both are ball hawks. And I like this kid named Billy Bowman, Kyle. He's going to be a safety from Oklahoma. I think he'll play at nickel. And it gives them more speed and youth in the secondary. They have a chance to run down Tampa Bay if they play their cards right.
They could be fun to watch. I like how you nicely put, because you're the nicest man, that's what everybody says, but you nicely disrespected the NFC South kind of in the most polite way, Charles, because anyone can run away with it.
The numbers don't lie, Tiffany. I mean, can't help it. I mean, they were 13-4 that year with Tom Brady, Super Bowl, but guess what? The numbers fell off after that. That's why everyone in that division feels like they make some gains. They've got a chance to go after them. But don't forget, Tampa has won it 4 straight years, and they're not going to give it up easily.
They have, always telling the truth, Charles. All right, let's go out west to the Cardinals, because, Kyle, that's who you've got. And Kyler Murray, he feels like this team is on the right path, and he was really happy with their offseason additions of Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson. So why will he still be happy at the end of the regular season?
Well, look, I feel like that the Cardinals are not a bad team. If you go look at the games last year and you watch Kyler Murray operate, he's a great quarterback. There's a lot of people who, at a certain point in the season, would have thrown him into that lower tier of MVP conversation. They had to find a way to bolster that defense, and they did so. They went and got one of my favorite players in the NFL draft this year, Walter Nolan, and I think you can ask any offensive guard, what's a mismatch you don't want to have to deal with? Well, it's a defensive tackle that can really go. And these guys, they can really go in Arizona now. They've added some pieces. Obviously, you mentioned Josh Sweat, and he's a quarterback hunter specialist. That's another mismatch. You get a bunch of those mismatches on the defensive front. It's really hard to score points. And one thing we know with Kyler Murray and with Marvin Harrison Jr., they're going to be able to score points. And look, he's not even utilizing Marvin Harrison Jr. in this highlight. He's just out there playing backyard football. That's what we love about the Cardinals. They're going to be even more of a version of themselves this year with that defensive side of the ball shored up.
I got to see them week 1 last season, so it'll be great to see how Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. continue to grow in that offense as well. I'm not going to hit you guys with a Duval, but I am going to just ask Charles about the Jags and their new head coach, Liam Cohen. Then you got Travis Hunter in the draft. Are they part of the right recipe for this team to now be a contender?
Yeah, I think so. For me, this is probably the most controversial one that I put on my list because they haven't given us great evidence of it, have they, Kyle, in recent years? But for the last couple of years, we thought this team had a chance to make the jump. Now under new management, Liam Cohen, the new head coach, as Tiffany talked about, he is an offensive first guy, and he elevates offenses everywhere he goes. Doesn't matter if it's in college at Kentucky. Last year, what he did with Tampa Bay was extraordinary. And the biggest thing he has to do, of course, is get their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, playing up to his number 1 overall draft pick potential. If he gets him going in that direction, and it has to happen this year, I believe it's the 5th year of the contract, it's got to happen right now. And he has weapons outside. Brian Thomas Jr. is out there. And they drafted some kid named Travis Hunter. And folks, he's going to play receiver first, maybe sprinkling some defense later, but offense is going to lead them. They bolstered the offensive line, Kyle, with Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCary coming over from Baltimore. This is going to help them in a big way. I just have a hunch that this new energy, this going at it on offense, getting ETN going out of the backfield again, they've got a shot. This is much more of a hunch and a hope than it is hard evidence, but I'm really big on Liam Cohen.
We'll ride on that.
Charles, I've been part of teams like that where you're really struggling and you don't seem to have the answers. You've got the guys. You look around the locker room, you say, we've got the guys. But then somebody comes in with a cool visor or a cool game plan. And next thing you know, bing, bang, boom, they're coach of the year. We saw with Matt Nagy. The turnaround can happen quickly in Jacksonville. They've got the ammunition there to make it happen.
I like the optimism coming from both of you guys. Kyle, you were optimistic before the Cowboys made the move to get George Pickens, and so I know you have your jorts handy. Does this make them more of a contender? In your case, does it make it even stronger?
Yeah, well, I was asked last night this question, and I put the Cowboys on my list. I'll have you know that 5B was the Falcons because I loved what I saw from Michael Penix, and especially when he was competing in primetime with Jaden Daniels. That was must-watch TV. But for the Dallas Cowboys, who are going to be must-watch TV this year, new head coach, obviously there was questions about why Mike McCarthy was let go. The contract didn't work out. Well, Schottenheimer has inherited a pretty darn good football team with 2 positions that are premier in this league, obviously with CeeDee Lamb and with Dak Prescott. They went out and they drafted Tyler Booker to be the sentinel, the guard for this offense. And we know that Dallas has had a history of having tremendous guards. He's got 2 second-year players going to be shepherding him through his rookie season. I think it really works out well. And obviously you put somebody opposite Micah Parsons with edge rusher out of Boston College, Donovan Ezeraku. You're going to be looking at problems for some of these teams. And if you're going to be playing against these dragons that are quarterbacks in the NFC East, you better have some guys who are dragon slayers. That's what the Cowboys are going to lean on.
Kyle, I love what you're talking about there. I really think that all these moves are very positive for Dallas. And how great is it for Jerry Jones, who told all of us in the outside world, hey, you didn't pick a receiver in the draft. He's like, don't worry, we have trades coming. We're like, yeah, we've heard that before. Well, he nailed it with George Pickens. But I still didn't have them on my list, and I'm still skeptical for this reason. Philadelphia, I don't think, takes that Super Bowl step back. I think they're still going to be the Eagles, and in fact, their quarterback probably feels like the only time you guys talk about me is when I blow up big in the Super Bowl. I need to show you throughout the season how well I'm going to play. And then Washington. They didn't just stand pat with a joyful season with a rookie quarterback. Went out and got Laramie Tunsil left tackle to protect him. So they announced to the world, we're trying to go after it right now. We weren't just content with last year and having a lot of fun. We want to be good for years to come. So I just have trouble seeing Dallas getting through the 2 of them. That's why I didn't have them on my list for right now.
We've covered a lot of ground, guys, and I'm sure, Kyle, you're probably going to have plenty to talk about coming up on your podcast.
Tristan, DC for life. Cowboys signed Jadeveon Clowney. Question mark. I don't know why I act like there's going to be more words there. I don't think edge is a need for you. Now, if you get with a bunch of injuries, a Clowney, a Von Miller, etc., like those names we can revisit, but why would Clowney sign with a spot that's got 3 second-round picks, Dante Fowler on a 1-year deal, and Micah Parsons? He's going to look for more guaranteed playing time.